Gram Parsons never set out to be a rock legend. He didn't crave sold-out stadiums or no one chart toppers. In fact, he never lived long enough to receive the recognition he truly deserved. Yet, with only a small handful of albums, a voice soaked in sorrow, and a musical vision light years ahead of its time, Gram Parsons changed the direction of American music forever.
He wasn't a household name, but among true artists, his legacy was sacred.
Legends like Emmylou Harris, Keith Richards, and Elvis Costello didn't just admire him, they were shaped by him. Because Gram wasn't just another musician. He was the bridge between folk, rock, and country, a southern soul with a cosmic dream. Born Ingram Cecil Connor III in 1946, Gram's life began in privilege but was marked early by deep personal tragedy. Raised in Georgia, surrounded by wealth and expectation, his childhood was shattered when his father, hailed as a World War II hero, took his own life when Gram was only 12. Just a few years later, his mother drank herself into an early grave. Beneath the surface of Southern gentility was a young boy haunted by grief and loss. He went on to Harvard, but his heart was never in textbooks or degrees. Music was his true calling, and not just any music. Gram dreamed of something he called cosmic American music, a genre-defying blend of country, rock, blues, and soul. In the late 1960s, he made his mark with the Byrds, pushing the band into risky territory with their landmark album Sweetheart of the Rodeo. At a time when country and rock were considered oil and water, Gram mixed them fearlessly, creating a sound that would later define country rock. Yet his brilliance was always shadowed by addiction. Gram lived in extremes, from his relationships to his creative highs to his deepening dependence on drugs and alcohol. One of his most infamous partnerships was with Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. The two were practically inseparable. During the recording of Exile on Main St., with Gram exposing Keith to the raw beauty of country music, even as he was losing his own battle with inner demons. As the 70s began, Gram formed the Flying Burrito Brothers, delivering groundbreaking records like the Gilded Palace of Sin, a collection of heartbreak and haunting truth dressed in rhinestones and rebellion. He sang like a man exiled from the country he loved, pouring his pain into every lyric. Then came Emmylou Harris, a vocal soulmate who joined him on his solo albums GP and Grievous Angel. Their duets were nothing short of spiritual. But behind the studio magic, Gram was unraveling. Heroin, morphine, alcohol, it all took its toll. In 1973, at just 26 years old, Gram Parsons died of a morphine overdose in a Joshua Tree motel. But his story didn't end there. It took a turn so wild it sounds like legend. Before his death, in one of those half-joking, half-serious late-night conversations, Gram told his road manager Phil Kaufman that if anything happened to him, he wanted his body cremated in Joshua Tree under the stars. A poetic dream, but Kaufman took it literally. After Gram's death, Kaufman and a friend stole his coffin right off the airport tarmac, drove it into the desert, and tried to honor his final wish by setting it ablaze with gasoline. The fire never fully took, and the bizarre act led to Kaufman being fined just $750. Because stealing a dead body technically wasn't illegal, Gram's death barely made a ripple in the press. There were no tributes on the radio, no posthumous hit albums, no national mourning. But those who got him, they never let him go. Emmylou Harris would later call him her greatest influence. Artists like Wilco, Ryan Adams, Lucinda Williams, and Dwight Yoakam all credit Gram as the quiet architect of their sound. His fingerprints are all over the rise of Americana and alt country. Even if country radio never played his songs, Gram Parsons didn't just blur musical boundaries. He lived on the edge of myth. Songs like Hickory Wind, A Song for You, and Return of the Grievous Angel weren't just recordings. They were open wounds, diaries sung in sorrow and dust. And maybe that's why he still resonates. Because even without fame, without awards, Gram poured everything into music that healed, hurt, and felt human. Today, fans still visit Joshua Tree not for a concert but for quiet remembrance. Some bring flowers. Others strum guitars beneath the stars. But all of them come for the same reason. Gram's story lives because his music refuses to die. Here at Starloop News, We honor the artists who shaped music with their hearts, not headlines. If Gram Parsons' story moved you, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and leave us a comment about your favorite song of his. Let's keep his legacy alive, one story, one song, one fan at a time.